Hey guys, welcome to Group Chat. It's the end of the week, and we plan to send you into the weekend informed and with a good discussion about the state of all things. That's what we do here.
Yeah, no, I got some good feedback that when we just pontificate about the world outside of just general news headlines, people like it.
Yeah, it does seem to me from my feedback, and this is not a big poll, but when we just go through like headline to headline to headline, kind of doing almost news reporting, that's the least favorite. People like our personal stories, and they like when we sort of debate or get into the state of things. So we got you. We got you covered on this episode.
Kick it off. Drama jumps in. And we have a blast.
There we go. All right. It's a hell of an episode. We're going to end the week strong. Let's get into it.
Cash.
Ladies and gentlemen, Group Chat.
Cash.
It's $1 trillion. Hot.
All right, Cathies, we're back with another episode of Group Chat. And, you know, I hate to say it, but I was spot on about Bud Light. The one thing I know is consumer behavior. That is what I'm a fucking 100% expert on. And the consumer has revolted full force against Bud Light.
Yeah, and obviously I don't believe for the right reasons, but I think it's clear on social media specifically, Bud Light's had probably the worst week in their history.
The amount of DMs I've gotten from people that work in hospitality and said, it is cold stop, done. No one's ordering it.
Yeah, and Kid Rock, known MAGA supporter, put out an Instagram, which...
Very interesting video.
Is absolutely hysterical.
Yeah.
Because you care this much about something.
Yeah.
So he's in some field. He has his MAGA hat on. Make sure you see the video or the picture of the hat. He takes out an AR-15. Yeah. I'm not a gun enthusiast, but...
Definitely a machine gun.
And he had like a bunch of cases of Bud Light, and he just started shooting and blowing them all up and said, fuck Bud Light.
Yeah. So they have now paused all marketing, influencer marketing. Yep. They just announced that. This is catastrophic for the brand. What you have to...
And then you saw the marketing managers getting dragged.
Yeah, because she was a party, just a regular college kid.
And said Bud Light was getting too fratty.
Yes.
And we need to get away from being fratty. But beer is fratty.
Well, that was my whole point. There was no point to... That consumer was never going to drink Bud Light. They just weren't. You're blind to think if you're going to change the behavior of like what people like to drink.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I didn't think it would snowball into what it has in the last 48 hours.
It was so obvious it was going to, because it's such a polarizing figure in this country right now. Everything is polarizing, right? And when you're a brand, it's especially a brand like Bud Light, and you know who your core consumer is. It's not Nike. Nike is very, very different. Nike is young, it's hip, it's cool, it's forward thinking. Bud Light is not.
Yeah, if you walk into any liquor store in America, it's a very distinct consumer who's picking up the 12-pack of Bud Light versus the Sauvignon Blanc.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Versus a seltzer, versus a bottle of tequila, versus a bottle. It's just different.
Versus even those like spiked vodka drinks, spiked.
Yes. It just is. I mean, like, you got to know your core consumer. And like, honestly, it's Anheuser-Busch's fault at the end of the day. They put someone in charge. Like, here's what I've learned about marketing. You could view it two ways. One is you cannot please everyone. Mm-hmm. Focus on your audience. Don't try to include everybody. Even if you may in your heart feel that's the right thing to do, it's not. We just talked about this. You cannot build products for everyone anymore. So instead, build products for people who like your product and just double down on them, as opposed to trying to get everyone to engage in your brand. It's just not happening. I can't tell you, like Old Navy last year, 2 years ago, went all in on inclusive sizing. They got buried because of inclusive sizing. It didn't work. that group of people did not want to buy Old Navy for whatever reason.
Yep.
And they didn't resonate with the brand that way. So it's very hard. Like everyone in this like new era of like, I'm so afraid to offend anyone, makes terrible business decisions.
Well, it's also, if you think about who holds these senior roles at major CPG companies, it's probably kids who went to Harvard Business School, Northwestern, Kellogg Business Schools, Stanford Business School, NYU, whatever. And
like liberal ideology.
exactly.
Yeah.
And that's very dangerous for a for-profit heritage brand.
Yeah.
And I think executives, you kind of have to take ideology out of your brand. If it's a new brand and you want to go after a new customer,
Yeah.
that's fine.
Or if that's what you're rooted in. Patagonia is like rooted in it. Ben & Jerry's is rooted in it.
Patagonia, I was having a conversation yesterday with someone. It is actually true to their values.
Yeah. Same with Ben & Jerry's.
Yeah.
Very true to their values.
And disrupting, I don't know what Bud Light sales are, but it's in the tens of billions.
I mean, Anheuser-Busch is just like the behemoth of the industry. I mean, if I'm running Anheuser-Busch, I am losing we were coasting.
Yeah.
Coasting.
No, it's true. You do have to, if you've been around this long and you already have a massive business, don't try to adapt away from your core customer.
No. Especially if you're a heritage brand. And I think now you're seeing it. How many people have launched I saw Ultra Right as the new beer, Bud Right. I've seen so many people come up with different versions of the beer. It just unnecessarily look, fundamentally what I actually believe is in 90 days, this will roll over and sales will stabilize. I think they're a really good company. They'll figure out how to position themselves and they'll be fine. But it just proved you could take down anyone.
And the memo's out to other massive corporations.
Yeah.
Stick to what you do.
Yeah. And like, there's plenty of ways to participate in inclusivity without, damaging your core business. You could do it in hiring. You could do it in so many different ways. You could do it in donations. You could do it in like other ways that still prove if that's something in your core values. The problem is that we, as the last couple of years, we forced companies to pretend like they care.
Yep.
They don't actually care. So why are we forcing them to care?
Well, not only that, the for-profit businesses do not need to run marketing campaigns to please, some sort of ideology.
Yeah.
If you're a for-profit company, you have a obligation to your shareholders to maximize value.
Yeah.
And pandering to an ideology that
everyone did that the last couple of years.
Yeah, and the inclusivity even in hiring, because obviously there's massive problems in that. And Ben Horowitz has been saying this for years, and I think he's the most inclusive person in tech by far. If you look at who's hired, who made general partner, they definitely are.
Yeah.
But his point is we didn't have a mandate to have 3 Black partners, 2 Asian partners.
Yeah.
He said when you expand the talent pool of who you're recruiting from, it'll automatically rise to the top. And then you'll naturally have a diverse team.
Yeah.
And he's the only one that has articulated this. Saying like, oh, you're Anheuser-Busch, you need 12 females, 14 Asians, 20 Black people in your senior executive team. That's not going to make a better company. But if you actually expand who you're recruiting from, you'll naturally get the diversity.
Yeah. And like, it's really interesting because on Tuesday night, I got invited to go to the 20-year anniversary of the Revolve dinner. And it was all their like long-term, all their influencers and all their partnerships.
On social media.
It was ridiculous. It was extremely well done. And there was a time, so Michael gave a speech, and then Raisa gave a speech, and then it kind of just went into like all the people there just giving kind of their recollection of their journey with Revolve.
I mean, think about how many careers they created separate from their business.
All women. Mm-hmm. Literally all women that they put on the map.
Thought D Wade was there.
Women of color. I'm just talking about the people that spoke and launched businesses. Women of color, women in general. And I texted them afterwards. It was like, I've never seen a business in my life that I've known close that has put so many people on the map, and then the diversity of the types of people on the map. And despite that, over the years, Revolve has gotten shit.
Right.
Which is just tells you, shut the fuck up. You don't even know what you're talking about.
What it tells you is you don't have to listen to that.
Exactly. Well, especially when you've done it. When I looked at that thing, like the people they've helped.
But that makes my point that I explained.
Yeah.
When you just expand who you're looking at, you'll find success across diversity.
And they've done it in a for-profit way.
Yeah.
They've scaled to a multi-billion-dollar business, and it naturally just happened. And they figured out they make money doing it. They're not doing it. I mean, look, they're incredibly generous, incredibly amazing human beings, but they know it's also, they've done it for profit. And like, you could do it naturally and appease your audience.
Yeah. I mean, I would assume the senior team at Revolve doesn't sit and say, we need to have this type of influencer, this type. It's like, no, who's going to drive the most business?
Yes.
And naturally it's a diverse group.
Yes. And that is, and it's just like, it's lost on people who are trying to force it as opposed to understand the market. You also have to understand your market, who your consumer is, what your business is about. And like the Bud Light thing was so obvious to me, so off the bat. And it was so obvious to me for Nike. It doesn't matter. It does not matter because their customer is young and cool and hip and forward thinking. It doesn't matter. And I think, but it was just like, you know, on that note of Revolve, it was just so inspiring. 20 years in the business. And then like, dude, businesses don't help other people. They just genuinely don't. Very few have. And just to see that they've done it at scale, it was like, wow, like the goodwill they've created in the community. Like you're rooting for Revolve when you see like people talk about like women entrepreneurship. Do you know how many women there said like their businesses are due to because of Revolve?
Right.
These, by the way, everyone was dressed really nicely, has a lot of money. My guess they made a lot of money because of Revolve, right? Like it's a pretty like, it's underappreciated, like the people that actually make an impact. Instead, we're too busy dragging everyone.
Yeah. And I think the memo's out. Don't listen to anyone other than your customer.
Yeah, I agree. And I think this Bud Light thing is just, it's pretty eye-opening because we want to believe we live in a society that accepts everyone, but we don't. And so you have to choose your path from a business standpoint, how you want to message your brand.
Yeah, or go work for a nonprofit and focus on that stuff.
Yeah. If you really want to impact change, it's not going to happen at the corporate level of Bud Light.
No, absolutely not.
Like all you did, by the way, there's people's jobs at stake now.
Yeah,
and the one person you can't fire is the marketing director. It's her fault.
Mm-hmm.
You can't fire her because it'll look bad.
Yeah, that's tricky.
Yeah. But sure, she's the one that unfortunately has to go.
Yes, I mean, and whoever greenlit it, I don't know. They're not happy over there at Anheuser-Busch.
Yeah. That happy hour this Friday.
Aren't they in St. Louis? Where are they?
Yeah. I think so, right? Anheuser-Busch? Yeah, I think so. Busch Stadium?
Yeah, that's where the Cardinals play?
Yeah. I don't know. It's pretty wild stuff, but what else did you have to talk about?
Oh, the absolute 2021 fuckeries like creeping in. Okay. So I'm going to drop something that I just learned about in the last 48 hours.
Okay.
Liquid staking derivatives.
Oh boy.
This is all the talk in crypto right now. Hadn't even heard about it a week ago. And if you notice, it's why Ethereum's up so much in the last 2 days.
It's all liquid staking.
Yes. And I'm not even going to try to explain it because I'll butcher it. I'm still learning, so I don't want to, miseducate people because I've just started getting texts about it in the last 24 hours, really, not even 48 hours. And close friends in Dubai, he listens to the pod. I won't leave his name out. And he was at a dinner with a bunch of crypto investors internationally. That's where a lot of crypto people have moved. And he said that's all everyone talked about.
Yeah.
He said liquid staking derivatives.
You don't know what that is.
I kind of know, but let me get a little smarter on it. By Sunday, I'll have a full explanation.
Okay, so it sounds like fraud.
It sounds like exactly what was going on.
Like
in-
DeFi.
Yeah, it's definitely big DeFi.
Okay, so
So
time to exit all your crypto soon because it's just
no, there'll be a run up. Then you exit.
Yeah. All right, so let's get into some more news now. I think this is kind of the biggest story of the week, and we started the week off about the tragic death of the Cash App founder Bob Lee, and we had heard that it was a stabbing. And I think everyone assumed it was some sort of transient that, murdered him.
Someone on fentanyl, which obviously San Francisco is dealing with,
Yeah.
like all metropolitan cities. That was like everyone quick to assume, everyone badgering the city, badgering like, how can we live here anymore?
Well, I mean, that can still remain to be true.
Sure.
But TMZ reports this morning, of course, they're the ones that breaks it, that he was in the car with someone, and in the car is where the stabbing potentially occurred, and then he got out of the car and died. And they've made an arrest of another person in tech, Nima Momeni.
Yep.
That's all we know right now.
So I went on his LinkedIn.
Yeah.
He's an IT consultant entrepreneur. Don't know what that means, but he's obviously knows him. They were in the car together. The assumption from the video is they were at the court of mission and in Soma, and he stabbed the shit out of him and kicked him out of the car.
I mean, what the hell could have happened?
The video is him, like you could see the video of him stumbling out of the car. Maybe he was able to break free. I don't know if he kicked him out. But if you think about the crime, you're in a major city with cameras everywhere.
Yeah.
How enraged do you have to be to know you're going to get caught if you kill someone the way you did? You're in a car, the license plate. I think he threw the weapon. So they obviously know each other. They're in the car together.
Yeah.
Your mind can wander of what.
Yeah, you can speculate a lot of things.
You could speculate a lot of things, and I'm sure the story will come out. But that's insane.
Yes, it's very insane.
It's like Son of Sam type murdering from like decades ago.
Yeah, I'm like kind of speechless because it's so insane that like you're just in a car with someone you know, potentially a friend, and you just stab them to death.
Yep.
Like what could have happened?
Knowing you're going to get caught. Like you're that enraged.
Yeah.
I mean, if he was in the woods and he stabbed them, so maybe he can get away with it.
Yeah.
But he did it in one of the most, monitored places in the city.
I think what, my takeaway is like, and I keep saying this and I'll continue to say it. COVID shutdowns, I'll never accept them. I think they were the biggest fucking mistake. I think our society has absolutely lost its goddamn mind. We were never meant to be sheltered like that, regardless of what it meant for humanity. Like what we did has damaged us in such a way that I don't think it's good. That there's a group of people, they may never be corrected from what happened. Like there's people that have been so negatively impacted by those lockdowns and what happened in that 2-3 year period that like a lot of people just lost their fucking mind. And I think it has to do with the shootings we're seeing. I think it has to do with...
It's also the brazenness of crime because...
But I think that's a result of basically normalizing a lot of craziness.
It's also lack of prosecution, lack of incarceration of criminals.
But I mean, if you think about it, like, why did we get to a point where we stopped prosecuting criminals? That was something because we were all cooped up and we saw a couple situations we did not like with the police. And then the entire country marched and said, we don't want this anymore. And it became popular policy to put your foot off the brakes on the gas in terms of policing. So it's like that's a result of COVID too.
The biggest problem is the major cities didn't move with the data, because initially it was the right decision because we didn't know. But once we started to know things, we should have moved with the data, and that's evident. No major city did.
Yeah. In terms of crime, you mean?
No, in terms of how we should have opened beaches
you're
and
talking about
parks.
COVID, yeah.
COVID, yeah.
Yeah.
Initially, I get it. It was no one knew exactly what was, and we knew it came from China. The CIA knew it came from China.
Yeah.
And they were like, we don't know what this can turn into.
Yeah.
And you couldn't trust the data from China.
Yeah.
So initially, I get the response, but yes, we didn't move with the data.
Yeah. And so that unfortunately has such lasting impacts on and the thing is if you go talk to a super progressive person, like crime's still lower than it was in the 90s. But when you're talking about a human life, and if you lost a human life in your situation, fuck your stats. We could have avoided these things. We 100% could have avoided these things. And those are things that really piss me off.
Yeah, it's fair. I mean, just two tech executives murdering each other in the city of San Francisco is insane.
It's the most insane. All right, Drama, I see you're on the pod.
I came in at a weird time. Listen, because I haven't heard this. I won't, obviously, for the sake of the quality of the podcast, ask you guys to go backwards too much. But I just didn't read the story yet. It was another tech guy that killed Bob Lee.
Yeah. And apparently they knew each other. He lives in Marin.
That is wild.
It's a very nice area. Went on his LinkedIn. I said earlier he's an IT consultant.
So he's they know it's him. They arrested him.
Yeah, exactly.
That's a twist I didn't quite.
Don't you remember when this happened? I said they have to make it clear. Was it a targeted incident, or was it just a homeless person that was on drugs?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a big difference.
And if you look and rewind the people who knew him, if you saw the tweets, I feel like they knew that this was something different.
Like he had a side to him.
Or not a side to him, but this might not be just a random attack. I remember looking at all those tweets, and it wasn't kosher to say this back then. I was like, this seems fishy.
Well, look, you have to imagine that, he was on camera texting and calling people while he was trying to find help after he had been stabbed. And you have to imagine he said, blah, 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 just stabbed me.
Right.
And so in those circles, they probably said, holy shit, this guy was stabbed by this guy. So they all did probably know.
That's a good point, because I forgot about that detail. But the way tweets were of his friends, it was clear they knew.
That's is fucking wild.
It's batshit crazy. And I think am I allowed to speculate, or is that unkind?
Probably unkind.
Okay.
But
I'd like to hear
I know where your mind's wandering.
What do you think it is?
Can you
I don't even want to say it.
Come on. We're an entertainment pod. We're not, formal journalists.
Okay,
What do you got?
I don't want to be,
speculating?
I'm giving a disclaimer. I don't want to be, other people get to speculate.
Okay, how about this? You say it, bleep it out. D will say it in the Discord.
Okay. They were
one option.
You like that one?
Yeah, put that in the Discord.
Okay.
I think there's two other options. Yep.
He asked, and he said no.
What about some sort of just, fired or someone, something? I mean, I know we've fired people that wanted to stab us before.
But they didn't.
Yes.
I know, but you
and
get the wrong guy.
they come from backgrounds that they could have easily stabbed us.
Yes. I know.
Kudos to them. Kudos to them,
These weren't IT consultants that wanted to stab us.
Yeah, I know.
They were previous stabbers.
Yeah, they're previous stabbers.
But maybe this guy didn't know. I wonder, that's a wild part of the story.
Yeah, because what I was saying, Drama, is do you know how enraged you have to be to stab someone to death in your car when cameras are everywhere in a major city? You literally lost the plot.
So and no offense to try to say these type of people, but if you're an IT guy, you're a smart person. You're a logistically smart person. You know you're going to get caught. So how emotional are you in that moment that you couldn't help it? He stabbed him in a car?
Yeah.
Oh.
And then he stumbled out of the car, and that's when he was calling for help. He tried to run up to another car and then ultimately died.
Yeah. Yeah, we're in a weird time, but it does seem to me, and once again, some of this is probably, I know statistically the numbers are up, and I know this is what you guys were just talking about, but I think a lot of it too is media and content, and there's so much, you hear about it so much, but it just feels like really violent right now. Like, even like rap feels more violent than the 90s. I'm not kidding. I was looking on TikTok the other day, and I'm sorry for being old, but there was a guy, oh gosh, I'm going to mess up his name. There was a rapper who was doing an interview with DJ Vlad, and he was talking about how a guy tried to rob him, and him and the girl he was dating shot the guy, and the guy died. And then this rapper who DJ Vlad was interviewing went back to the crime scene, which was his apartment. It was still covered in blood. The cops had just came and taken the body. He took Instagram photos in this guy's blood. And then an hour later, that guy's friends came and murdered him.
Oh my God.
And that was all over TikTok. And then you see his body laying on TikTok. And then you see, like, it was so crazy. In the span of 5 minutes, I went from being like, wow, like, what a crazy interview clip, to now I just look a little further and this guy's dead already because he was, celebrating killing this guy. It just feels so violent. And then you have tech guys stabbing each other. Remember when we used to say, like, does anyone even fight anymore? I haven't seen it in years.
That's 5 years ago.
That was pre-COVID. I'm telling you,
other.
the lockdowns drove everyone nuts.
Yeah.
We were not supposed to be at home.
I agree. And then I think what I was thinking when you were saying that is, I really do think, and I hope this doesn't come off insensitive, but I think the George Floyd video, as horrendous as it was, hitting everybody while they were locked down and had nothing else to do but just consume it. I think people, like, that's what I think caused, like, the stuff you were talking about, Anand, with like DAs, and everyone was like, fuck it. This system is broken. We are fucked. Everything needs to change. And I think it was like, does that happen if you're not locked down for a year and a half before that? I don't know. Does it happen if everyone's not scared at the time that comes? I don't know. But I think that double whammy of lockdown, crime, nothing matters anymore, sort of everyone losing their minds, then like one of the craziest racial injustice videos of our time.
Yep.
And I think we're still trying to get it right, or get our equilibrium from those two things, in my opinion.
Yeah, there's no question if we weren't locked down, because I think it was June of 2020, right? When peak George Floyd protests. And I remember vividly, like, being on a walk in my neighborhood, and you saw people dressed up, full makeup, doing their makeup with their signs. Yep. So they were dressed up like they were going to Jones on Third or the club or a nice restaurant, because none of those were open. This was their outlet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they didn't, probably, I'm not going to be judgmental, they probably they would never have cared about this 3 months prior.
Yeah, of
and
course.
It forced everyone to have this need, and it was community. It was like the first time everyone kind of got together.
Yeah. And everyone was allowed out, and everyone was allowed to see each other. And they were like, and you were already pissed. You're pissed at the government. You're pissed at everything, because you're like, I've been in the house for 6 months. It's summer. I'm losing work. I'm not making money. I'm whatever my fears are. And then this shit is happening. And it's like, once again, this is where I don't want to sound insensitive, because I'm analyzing it this way, but like, it's not like that video was just one of the videos that we've seen of like a police, doing something like that. It was the worst one. Like, it was, it was so graphic and so brutal and so terrible at that exact time. And I just think that combination made everyone say, fuck it. And then you hear about all the scamming of COVID PPP, and you hear about all these people making money, and you hear about all this, and it's just like, people are like, fuck it, what even matters? Like, what's even, I don't respect authority. I don't respect the rules. I just do what I want now.
I think it's going to take like a decade for people to kind of forget what happened and the impacts of the last couple of years. Like if you think about like, when did like 2008 just evaporate from people's heads? It took probably a decade, really, like probably 6-7 years.
Probably 14, 15. That's when the fuckery started.
Yeah, but I don't think everyone participated in the fuckery till like a decade into it. I think the COVID situation mentally had such an impact. Like 08 had a big mental impact on a lot of people because their lives were ruined. And in this case, a lot of people's lives were ruined. And this roller coaster of like, think about how many people right at this moment, like we're about to talk about inflation and the CPI. Think about what we've seen, the whiplash of the last 2 years, where everyone went like with the most amount of money they've ever had to probably approaching soon the least amount of money they've ever had in 2 years.
Yeah.
We're not like, as human beings, we're not naturally able to handle this roller coaster of emotions so rapidly. Like the highs and lows of society today, it's so high and so low so quickly. You think about it. Most people get anxiety when there's like 10 people in a room. You're talking about anxiety of having money and not having money and then being locked down and then saying, go back to work. Yeah, I know you haven't worked for 2 years. Go sit in the car and drive for an hour and go back to work. Or, you know what, now we're going to go on a plane with thousands of people and it's all happening too fast. And the problem is the only part that was controllable was the lockdowns. Everything else was uncontrollable.
Yeah. Yeah. And I just think, I mean, my take is, and I should talk to my family members about this, but like, it seemed to me like pre-08, where I'm from, was like, okay, we're all like participating in the American dream here. We all got it. It really seems like since 08, that mentality like never recovered. It was like, we got fucked so bad and we've had to deal with the pain of like foreclosing on our homes and things like that. And it's just like that resentment is very hard to turn around, you know, like I don't know. I feel like there's a little bit of life that got sucked out of like, you know, where I'm from and that in 2008 that I don't feel like ever like really returned. I think it takes a long time.
Yeah. And the reality is I don't think we ever get back to that.
No, not that part. No, I agree. But I'm just saying
that
like,
where we can all win together.
Yeah.
Now it's zero sum. Someone wins, someone loses.
Yeah, that's for sure.
And it stems from politics to business to social media. There's no community at scale left.
Yeah, which is so funny, right? Because I would say a huge driver of that is the internet. And the internet, you know, is so divisive and stuff like that. And like in theory, like if you pitch, and this is what they were doing, like you pitch the internet, you know, in whatever year that was, 90s? When did the internet like come out? It is the greatest unifier of people. Like everyone gets to work together now. Everyone gets to share information from all over the globe. Oh my gosh. And like, it just fucking like human nature couldn't handle it, man. Like it just.
Yeah, it actually just brings out who we really are as people.
Yeah.
So,
well, I mean, just look at what, I don't know if you guys saw this article in the New York Post yesterday. Someone used an AI voice generator to pretend like they're someone's daughter and say that they're kidnapped and they need a ransom.
Yeah. So my point is, that is what, if you take the evolution of what's happened since when Drama just said, like when the internet was created, it's like, oh my God, this utilitarian place where everyone's going to have access to everything. Okay, great mission. Then we had social media. Oh, you got to share your
You got to connect with your family and friends all over the world.
Yeah, that's a complete disaster.
Yeah.
Now we're using AI. AI is going to be 100x worse.
You
than
know
this.
what? AI went from like 60 days ago, we're going to make jobs more efficient too.
Yeah.
You know what? I'm just going to have random ransom calls all over the fucking
Yeah,
world.
Yeah, because if
literally.
it's just an easier way to do the IRS tax scam. We've
Yeah.
all gotten that call.
Yeah.
You owe the money to IRS. Please pay immediately.
Yeah.
Now you can do it 1,000,000 times over.
Imagine if your kid calls you and goes, Dada, I'm kidnapped. I need $1 million or they're going to... What are you going to do?
Yeah.
And that's just
Do you
one. That's just one iteration.
As
There's
soon
a
as you
million of
post
these.
this article, do you know how many people are going to go do it?
Of course.
Let me tell you what else is there. This is very different, but it's still AI. There's a whole TikTok page that I found of Kanye West's voice perfectly singing country hits.
Oh my God.
I listen to all the Justin Bieber songs.
And they're so good. And like if you put
TikTok
that
is
album
really-
out.
TikTok's already a disaster. I
Yeah.
saw like a Kris Jenner interview and I was like, she really said that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then it took me a minute to realize, oh, it's bullshit.
Fake.
But it looked perfect.
Yeah.
And then I've seen like post-game interviews of like the Timberwolves guy, Anthony Edwards, and he's just like talking shit about all his teammates.
Yeah.
And then I like had to go on Twitter. It's like, is this real? And it's obviously not real.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But if you go on TikTok and that's the way you consume, you could believe all this stuff.
Yeah, we're toast.
But my question is, does it like kill? Like what happens? Because also like humans adjust.
Yeah.
And so what happens? Like, does the internet just become this place where you cannot trust anything? I think we talked about this a couple episodes ago, but like you go back to only trusting like a few really key sources and word of mouth from friends. Like, you know, humans aren't, I don't think, I'm a little optimistic. I don't think we're just going to like fall into complete war and we all are being scammed and we're all believing everything we read. Like, I think we're going to adjust to be like, oh yeah, that just doesn't, I can't trust any interview I see.
I think it's also the scale of which, like, I'm not saying everyone's going to do this AI child scam, right? But if you take the same number of people that do the IRS tax scam to get you to convince you to pay something, they just have so many more shots at goal from AI. So the impact of negativity is going to be exponential.
I'll tell you why I'm less optimistic on this is if you take specifically America and you take life expectancy for American males is going down, right? Obviously because of fentanyl and opioid crisis, all that stuff. And if you look at, they have a map of where it's specifically declining, and it's really in the middle and the South. That's where the life expectancy is declining. And so ultimately, why is it that those people are suffering and the rest of the country is not? Is that education? Is that opportunity? Is that resources? Whatever it is. And so fundamentally, like you take all the benefits of AI, it's going to benefit the people that know how to use it and know how to actually interact with it. And it's going to disproportionately negatively impact the people that don't know how to use it. And you look at like the internet age, what has helped like the smarter people is we've improved our lives dramatically because we've learned how to take advantage of it. And then there's a group of people that have not learned how to take advantage of it and have been disproportionately impacted negatively by it. I just think that dispersion just gets, that divide gets bigger.
100%.
And so I don't think it's like total collapse of society. I just think that like, I think it just gets worse and worse for a certain cohort of people. And it just gets harder and harder to dig out of that hole.
I think the problem is it's just going to negatively impact so many more people than were impacted by opioids.
Yeah.
So it's just going to keep magnifying, multiplying that group.
Yeah.
And it's going to expand and it's going to be not geographic. It's just going to be all everywhere.
The difference is that like if we're living this like we're present and appreciating what's happening in AI. So we all have to shift our mindset, careers, jobs. Everyone listening to this podcast is very aware of AI now. If you are not looking at that clearly and seeing how that's going to impact your life, then you're going to get hit by a car, basically, in the very near future. I think when it came to things like mental health, the coast was actually really way ahead of it in terms of like, wait, you can actually be sad. You can be depressed. And I'm sure if you looked at the statistics, that is a reason why life expectancy, that awareness, that self-awareness,
and willing to get help,
and willing to and then if you look in the Midwest and the South, if you just compound what's happened is first, manufacturing got removed, right? Went to China. Then you got fucking angry. And then there's politicians
and
that
you
pounced.
lost your home.
Then you lost your home in 2008. And now there's a political figure telling that this is not your fault. It's these people, it's their fault. So you end up in this deadly spiral of like not realizing it's you. You instead continue to blame everyone else. And with AI coming, and in this next election, AI will be top of mind. There's no doubt in my mind. And I don't think anyone's going to spin it in a positive way.
Yeah.
Because it's going to replace jobs, which is, it's like...
The problem is the voting base won't even understand it.
No, but
the people that actually understand...
But can I say as a politician, these tech elites are going to take every single job away from you? And is that inaccurate?
No, I mean, there was a Goldman report that 300 million jobs in the world are going to be eliminated.
Okay, so that's what I'm talking about. That is a clear political strategy that we know is going to work.
Can I also say that, like, just to touch on something that you just mentioned, is like our political system is kind of set up to just piss people off because, like, the people running, their job is to get people to think that they have their best interest in mind. And the way to get them emotional and riled up is to talk about how bad they have it and how everyone's out to get them and how whatever. And then once they get in, it's really hard to make any of those changes. It's just whatever, you got elected. It's kind of over. It's unfortunately kind of how it works. And so like that system is also set up to just every 4 years or every 2 years, just piss people off and stoke the flame. I mean, you saw it with Trump. It's like Trump really fed into something in our country. How much of that got fixed? Like if you were worried about like needing a border wall and you were worried about like, did any of that get fixed?
GoFundMe? That guy was raised fraudulently, all that money for the wall.
But no,
like,
you're just more
care about
pissed.
The wall that much that they use their hard-earned money to this fake GoFundMe.
No, what's even crazier is that when we just talked about this drama, our first topic was around Bud Light, how I kind of knew that people would change their behavior towards Bud Light. People are buying Bud Light to shoot it.
Yeah.
Maybe sales go up.
Okay, so if you want
you're right. In the Midwest, sales are huge.
If you look at the next election cycle next year, the Democratic side, while divided, they still have a level of like, they're not going to say the crazy stuff Trump's going to say.
Yeah.
But they have their own version. I just got to say, they're going to say Elon Musk and billionaires and they're taking, like they just rile people up.
Okay. So up until I think in 2024, all Republicans were aligned. It was MAGA.
Yes.
He's our guy. Now you're going to have Trump in an actual contest with DeSantis and excuse me, whomever else runs on the Republican side. And it's not a shoo-in that Trump's going to win. He's going to have, this is the first time he's coming from a position of power. And there's actually people that could actually contest him. So that side's going to see a bigger division.
Yeah. But my point is,
they're going after the same voter that was all united against, you're right, the liberals took our jobs away, you're going to come fix it. Now that same person's going to be like, wait, do I listen to Trump or do I listen to DeSantis? And then you're going to have a bigger division even within that group.
But then think about like you just said, Bud Light, think about trans issues, think about critical race theory, think about the fact that the left is going to be nonstop talking about this guy has an indictment against him. Talk about how like it's going to be fucking crazy. And then what's going to happen is whoever's going to get elected is going to get elected and no one's really going to make any changes. And so all those people that are actually like getting the shit end of social media and the shit end of AI and the shit end of '08 and the shit end, now they're just more pissed. Like anyone who was worried about the border wall in 2020 or in 2016, if you check in with them right now, they're just livid. I mean, they're just like, I was pissed 7 years ago, and I'm seeing video of people streaming over that border, and I know they're terrorists, and I know that, like it just is a recipe for fucking disaster. It's so
it works
crazy.
is the problem.
Yeah. I wonder who's going to be the first politician. You know how Barack was the first one to like use Facebook, use social media? Someone's going to brilliantly use AI. Like they're not going to be ransom calls. They're going to be like, hey, it's your Aunt Patty. I'm voting for blah, blah, blah. Make sure you do too, You
could do personalized messages for every one of your voters.
Yes.
Yeah.
Video.
They had names of all of us.
Hey there, Anand, Barack Obama.
Here's $10, Barack.
Oh my gosh. Someone's going to do it. Someone's going to be the one who did it,
No, I mean, I don't know. I mean, both the candidates now are 100, so it's not going to be either of them.
It's not going to be them. It'll be the next round. All right. Let's do some winners, losers content. I mean, I feel like that was a pretty good chat about some of our biggest issues. Let's wrap it up. Let's switch the tone a little bit and talk about some winners.
Yeah.
D, who's a winner of the last week?
My winner is Dan Snyder. When you fuck up in the NFL and you're an owner, you get to become a multi-billionaire.
Yeah.
Instantly.
Same in the NBA.
So Washington Commanders is being sold for $6 billion.
A nice bag.
One
That's
NFL
a nice,
team.
Exit package.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you commit sexual harassment, racial undertones, you get $6 billion as your parting gift.
I mean, let me ask you guys this, because you guys know this. Like, I know that he's kind of forced to sell because of that thing, but like, was he forced to sell at a discount, or was that the price?
No, that's the price. That's the market clearing price.
Yeah.
And it's a notoriously bad franchise, so that's probably the floor price.
Yeah.
Wow. So the only downside was he just probably would have liked to hold on to it, and he doesn't get to. But other than that, he's got the bag.
And he may get cheered on in his circles. Like, look at how smart you were. Like, if he shows up at Mar-a-Lago, he probably gets a standing ovation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Josh Harris, just, traditional background, Wharton undergrad, Harvard Business School, co-founder of Apollo, worth $6 billion already, owns the Sixers. Great.
That's who bought it?
Add this to your resume.
Yeah, and Magic Johnson's part of the ownership group.
Hi.
Big win for Magic.
I gotta say,
New Jersey Devils too, and the Prudential Center in New Jersey.
Yeah, and he's in a lawsuit with Leon Black, his co-founder, who's tied up in the Epstein world.
Ooh, messy. I gotta say, like, is there anything more fun or more aspirational to own than a sports team?
It's an NFL team, I would say, is
NFL is number one.
I mean, wouldn't that be the coolest thing in the world? Imagine how much we love, you guys especially love fantasy football, love whatever. Imagine you own it'd just be the funnest thing in the world to own.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything better than owning an NFL team.
Yeah, it's definitely the tier one.
If you could own anything, hotels, this, that, I'd rather own
clubs. Like, what else would be fun? Like, you could own a bunch of nightclubs.
Yeah, and the difference is, like, how people make money and they're like, oh, I'm invest in the sports bar because it's fun. I get to hang out with my buddies. I'm not going to make money. You buy a franchise, you're going to make money.
Yeah,
the sports bar is your arena.
Yes. and you get to have the greatest time of your life.
And you get to entertain all your friends and family.
Yeah.
And he's going to make another $2-3 billion.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. I would say that's a good winner. Anand, who you got?
So I opened up the podcast with how the new crypto 2021 has arrived. It's called liquid staking derivatives. And I told everyone I would read up on it before I kind of explain what it is. But in the theme of crypto, my winner is Bitcoin. So this article came out in 2022, and I'm just bringing it up because he's actually getting sentenced this Friday. So this guy, James Zong, who lived in Georgia, modest living in Georgia, except he had I'll explain. He was on Silk Road, which back in the day was the exchange where you would buy cocaine and prostitution and guns, all illegal stuff. So he bought some cocaine on Silk Road back in 2012. He was 21 years old at the time. He then tried to withdraw whatever crypto he had on the site, whatever Bitcoin he had on the site. And he realized there was a flaw. If he withdrew X amount, he would get like 10X. There was like a gaping hole in the system. And so he ultimately created a bunch of fake accounts, withdrew 50,000 Bitcoin, which at the peak was worth 3.3 billion. Let's assume 1 billion now, right? And he did it, anonymously, blah, blah, blah. And my point is, it's the dumbest way to commit crimes is using crypto.
Because you can track everything.
It's a permanent ledger. So they saw all this money flowing from Silk Road, which we knew was a criminal exchange. And it took them a decade, but they got them. And all your tracks are, if you do anything at scale.
So who's the winner?
The winner is cryptocurrency. And because all the naysayers when Bitcoin came out was like, oh, this is for criminals, this is for bad actors, these are for drug dealers.
But you could track them.
It's the worst way to be a bad actor.
Cash is the best.
Cash is by far the best.
Yeah. You're right. You're totally right. I think it's undeniable. It's just, does it work? Does the world catch on? I think in the theory of it is undeniable. And when we're talking about like everyone getting off the dollar standard maybe and everyone blah, 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 like that is your answer. But does it actually work? And is it worth $1 million yet? What's up with Balaji?
Yeah, I haven't heard from him.
Real quiet.
How much longer does he
where
have?
I stand.
2 months? Does he have 60 days left or something?
Yeah, max.
Yeah. Well, what are we at? 30K?
30K.
Got a
I
long
hope
way to
he's
go.
right. I wouldn't mind a 35X from here.
Yeah. That'd be nice. My winner. Oh, you know what? My winner. I'm going to be a little repetitive here, but seems worth it, especially with our earlier conversation. Did you guys see that the new body cam? It sucks that there's just a new body cam every week, but from Louisville.
No.
So we talked about the body cam and the police officers from Nashville. There's now the body cam release of the shooting at the bank in Louisville. And just same thing. I mean, these guys there was a guy who like got out of the police academy, 2 weeks ago and was shot in the head. I believe it's still alive, still fighting for his life in the hospital. But when you see the actual video of these guys like pulling up and there's a guy with an AR-15 like blasting at them out of the window and running and just it instantly like this guy graduated the academy 2 weeks ago and you're in a fucking war zone. Like it is just, I don't know. I think seeing those body cams, we've all seen the terrible body cams and we talk about it and it's absolutely horrendous. And I think when you see these ones, I don't know. It's good to also talk about it. I just cannot imagine that being my job.
And it's also insane that the more recent gun violence is happening in states that are very pro guns.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they're just willing to let their own people just die.
I also heard from my friends that are tied into like gun laws and stuff.
Cousin at the Pentagon.
My cousin at the Pentagon. And so this might be fake.
That was actually the best joke of 2020.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I mean, wait till AI. Wait till you have a message from your cousin at the Pentagon.
Hey, drama. This is your cousin from the Pentagon.
I heard that it recently became a misdemeanor to be caught with a gun as long as there's not a bullet in the chamber. So we'd have to look that up. But I heard that part of the reason for the rise in gun violence, like in LA, was that as long as you don't have a bullet in the chamber, it's a misdemeanor and not a felony. So once again, maybe I got that a little wrong, maybe whatever. But like I was talking to them about why guns are so much. And there's just these weird laws and stuff happening that aren't what you think. We're worried about like assault weapons and that stuff. But there's a lot of weird stuff that are causing some of this rise,
Yep.
Anywho, that's my winner. Loser D. Who's your loser?
My loser is Coachella. Because
What
it will
happened?
not have my presence there for the entire weekend.
You're not going
I am going to go with Anand just for the day on Saturday.
to Revolve?
I literally,
To Revolve.
go to Revolve, hang out, whatever. Maybe go to some other things. But it was sad. Like,
It's sad for them.
Yeah, it's
sad for the people of Coachella.
it just
Yeah,
shows we're
yeah.
aged out because it hasn't been a conversation in anyone in our age group other than the people that are throwing the parties.
Yes. I think that, and I'll be honest, one, I mean, just because of work stuff, like that's my real reason for not going. I also like, I'm not a big music watcher guy,
Yeah.
but these acts are not for me.
You know what I
know,
like
we're
is like
aged
a
out.
nice little booth at the Hollywood Bowl, a
Yeah, a
box
glass
at
of wine.
Staples.
Yeah.
I like those.
I definitely will be going again as long as I still have my youthful glow.
You think you'll do a Thursday to Monday Coachella?
100%.
Wow.
I'm doing the
take
full
family.
thing. I'm leaving tonight.
Oh, wow.
Oh, you're going?
Yeah.
Oh, so we're gonna see you out there.
Yeah, I'm leaving tonight. I'll see you at Revolve. I'm back
Amazing.
Monday morning. I'm still young, okay? And I'm not letting
Yes.
you old geezers hold me back.
And are you actually going to the festival?
I'll probably just go watch Frank Ocean.
Because you're not, you haven't gone full Bud Light. You're not watching Bad Bunny and Blackpink.
I'm going to take a 12 pack.
I hope you had gifted passes because I know how much
Still
artist
working on
passes
that.
cost.
Yeah, still
Just
working on
for
that.
one act.
Yeah, my goal is
Super
that
Bowl.
by Sunday night, someone will have left, or I'm
Yeah.
hoping I can figure it out because I don't really care. I'm just like you guys. Where my age shows is like I don't want to go walk around the festival. Who cares? So I just want to hang out. I want to go to Revolve. I want to see friends, and then I do think it'd be nice to see Frank Ocean before I come home. But I don't. Yeah,
I will tell you my one anecdote that I think, like obviously the tickets were sold out. It doesn't matter. They've made their money. The housing for Coachella is definitely cheaper this year than last.
I was surprised.
I think that's a function of the acts. I'm sure it's a function of the economy, but it's just the fans of Bad Bunny and Blackpink particularly are very, very young.
Yep.
What would you say the average age of Coachella is? 26?
Yeah, average, I think. Yeah. I think that's a fair
Right?
average. Yeah.
I don't think it's 19 because it's just too expensive.
Yeah.
So let's say it's 26 years old. Yes, are there Bad Bunny fans in that audience? 100%. It's just not the demo that I think, or Blackpink.
Yep.
Like, I think you have no classic rock band, which is like kind of a travesty.
Yeah.
Like, to me, that's a humongous missed opportunity. You have no single big rap act, which kind of sucks.
Yeah.
I know music has evolved and changed, but if you're going with what's happening, Morgan Wallen should fucking headline Coachella.
Yeah.
Right? Like he is the biggest star of the moment.
I agree. It might have been a miss.
Yeah. And so
Like, it
I
might
think
in hindsight be a miss.
And if you think about how expensive it is to do the weekend properly, people of our age, at least, who've done it, you're going to spend that on something else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just, you've done it so many times. You're like, it's an offensive amount you have to spend to enjoy Coachella weekend.
Yeah.
Yeah. Even for me, it feels more like I didn't go last year. Obviously didn't go during COVID. Been a little light on the traveling. And I did a late reach out to say, hey, is this house available? They said, yeah, it is. And I said, you know what? Screw it. So even if we just are mainly at the house and go to the parties, I feel this need to like get out and be social and see our friends. But doing the whole, like already like thinking about the people that are coming and does everyone have a pass? And like, obviously I'm not going to be, the guy that gets everyone passes. So, in that way, we'll be priced out of that full experience. I mean, we used to go and like buy 1 million passes and there's just a lump of them on the table. Everyone grab one, get a driver, get a sprinter. We're not doing that.
Fun times.
Yeah, it was real fun.
We're getting some Bud Light and driving.
I got to bounce. I have a call.
Anand, who is your loser?
My loser is the security at our military bases.
Yeah, that was my loser too. What happened here?
So a 21-year-old air guardsman, I don't know what an air guardsman is. But he's 21. He's not some senior official.
Yep.
Was working, spent some of his day inside a secure facility that prohibited cell phones and other electronic devices, which we use to document secret information. Guess what he did? He just printed it out.
And took a photo of it, right?
Yeah,
like on top of like
like
a hunting magazine or like such an obvious.
So this guy's 21. He goes by the moniker of OG on Discord, and he's a self-proclaimed gun enthusiast. And it was like a military Discord. Like, why are 21-year-olds in a military Discord in the first place? And he started leaking very classified documents that included Ukraine footage, satellite footage of the war, included discussions.
Like, wasn't like Ukraine military strategy and stuff?
Yeah, and in addition to, every government spies on every government. That's not like secret. But when you find out that you're being spied on, it's a little, off-putting, to say the least.
There you go. Yeah. Good,
so it's
good
like,
choice.
It's discussions between some of our allies, senior officials that they obviously don't know we're listening into.
Yeah.
And he put it into a private Discord. And then that private Discord, people started sharing it to other bigger Discord. And then it became pretty apparent these were like really sensitive documents. They arrested him today. He was just like a young kid with t-shirt and shorts on.
Yeah.
How does an air guardsman get access to this information?
It's just what he just gets to press print and take it home.
Yeah.
And then go put it on Discord. Yeah, it's absurd. It's a joke. And I think that, to be honest, like, if you're like Russia, for instance, you got to really be laughing at this one.
Yep.
Like, you fucking idiots. You do that in Russia, you're decapitated.
Immediately. There won't even be trial.
I mean, no one would even dare try it.
Yeah, unbelievable.
Okay, well, I agree. I have the same one. What about content? You got any content recommendations for the weekend?
Content, after
Revolve Fest?
riveting Revolve Fest, obviously, that's going to be a blast, as always. After the riveting episode of Succession last week,
big episode.
Coming home to that, unbelievable. We talked.
I feel like they started a little slow, and then they just hit us with a big one.
Yeah, so I'm excited for that. NBA playoffs. Lakers start against the Grizzlies at noon Pacific on Sunday.
Hey, shout out to the Lakers. That was like I haven't been watching. That was like no one thought they were going to make it. They made it sort of situation.
Yeah, the team started out 2-10, and by odds makers had a 0.3% chance to make the playoffs.
Wow.
So all in all, despite all the trials and tribulations, we're here. Got a shot.
Okay. All right. Those are good. You want to know what I have is, it's not this weekend, but next weekend is the big fight with Gervonta Davis and Ryan Garcia. And I would just urge, I think this is probably going to be the biggest boxing match since the Floyd Mayweather days. And I would urge, Showtime does some really, really good lead up, like this mini documentary series, following each fighter, highlighting their life, their training camp, their family life. And it's really good. So I just, obviously I'm a big fan of these type of events. I would urge everyone to spend some time this weekend or next week getting excited. Those things, even if you don't know anything about these guys, those things will tell you a lot. You'll be very excited. Tune in.
So I walked into the promotion knowing nothing about these guys, and I'm hooked.
Yeah.
The content's unbelievable.
Yeah.
And I'm getting it fed on TikTok. They both have personalities.
Yeah.
And who's favored?
Gervonta. Gervonta's going to destroy him.
His nickname's Tank. Is that right?
Yeah.
And Ryan Garcia has a mouth on him. They're selling the fights like the old school Floyd Mayweather fights.
Yes. And you want me to tell you a funny story that you don't remember? Is when is there anything here I shouldn't say? No. One time we were in Miami together and we ended up at Puffy's house.
Mm-hmm.
And do you remember what I'm talking about?
I remember Drake. We met Drake.
Yes. So right after that, right around the time where we ran into Drake, Gervonta and his manager came up to us and they were like, hey, so good to meet you. We love, Young and Reckless. This guy's going to be the next big fighter. You really got to watch him. You guys should really do something, blah, blah, blah. And now he's Tank. And, at the time he was just starting out. So
is Garcia the villain and everyone's rooting for Tank?
No, it's not that, it's a little different. Tank is the from the streets, rough background, real boxer, undeniable real boxer. Ryan is the pretty boy, might be delusional, might not be as good as he thinks he is, fighting the real, it's kind of like more like pretty boy versus tough background.
And from my TikTok analysis, he had to drop a lot of weight, Garcia, to fight him.
He did, but I think he's kind of leaning into that a little too. That's his strategy is he's going to complain about how much weight he has to lose and about this rehydration clause. I don't think it's actually that big of a deal. I think it's just his way of talking shit. I think he has no chance. And I think he's knocked out in the 5th round.
Wow. Prediction.
Yeah, and I think if you don't know boxing, once again, similar to kind of the Jake Paul thing, but not. I mean, this guy, Ryan Garcia, is definitely a real boxer. But I think if you don't know it, he's has a lot of followers on Instagram. He has a really good left hook. He's had some great knockouts, but I just don't think he's. I think Gervonta is like incredibly good all around. But it'll be a great fight.
And Jake Paul announced a new fight against Nate Diaz.
Yeah, that one's crickets to me. I mean, look, I think Jake Paul wins that.
Yeah, I wonder how it sells.
Yeah, I'm really curious too, because he just lost to the real boxer. He's kind of going back to if you follow the storyline, he's kind of going backwards. He's going back to the retired MMA guys. And I just don't think, I don't think Nate Diaz, he knows how to punch. He's definitely a better puncher than like Ben Askren, but once again, the guy's older. He's not. I think there's no way. I think Jake wins, but I think it's silly. But Nate Diaz will probably get a lot of money, and that's good. He's like an OG.
And
he
talks a lot of shit, right, Nate Diaz?
He's really entertaining. It'll be really entertaining. Yeah.
Content will be great.
There we go. Lots of content. All right, that's all we got. No shout outs, right?
No shout outs.
All right, Anand, I'll see you out in Coachella. We will have some really great recap content.
Yep.
And that's it. Everyone have a great weekend. We'll see you on Sunday.
Peace.
Bye-bye.